Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
The call came just after midnight, piercing through the quiet hum of my apartment. I barely registered the name flashing on the screen before answering. "Kelly, it's your mother," came her breathless voice, laced with urgency. "It's your father. You need to come home. Now?" My stomach twisted. What happened? She hesitated. "We will explain when you get here." The line went dead. A chill crept up my spine. My father had always been the pillar of our family, the one who never showed weakness. If something had happened to him, if he was sick or worse. I shoved aside the unease and threw on a jacket, grabbing my keys. The drive to my parents' estate took over 3 hours, each mile tightening the knot in my chest. Was it a heart attack? A stroke? Would I arrive only to hear the worst news of my life? I pulled into the long driveway, heart hammering against my ribs. The estate loomed in the moonlight, unchanged, a massive house built on decades of tradition and status. But something was off. The front windows glowed with light. Laughter spilled out into the night air. Music played softly. I frowned. This didn't feel like a house in crisis. I stepped inside, bracing myself for grim faces, for whispered updates on my father's condition. Instead, I was met with a party. My mother stood near the grand fireplace, smiling warmly. My father, alive and well, raised a glass and toast. Guests milled about, sipping wine, engaged in light-hearted conversation. And at the center of it all, my younger siblings, Michael and Sandra, grinning like cats who had just swallowed a canary. I froze. What is this? My voice cut through the chatter, sharp and unsteady. My mother turned, beaming. "Oh, sweetheart, you made it. We have exciting news." I barely heard her over the roaring in my ears. "Mom, you said Dad?" "Oh, we just needed you here as soon as possible," she said with a dismissive wave. "Now, come, let's talk." I clenched my jaw, but followed her through the house, past murmuring guests, until we reached my father's study. The room was dim, smelling of old books and expensive whiskey. My father settled into his chair behind the grand oak desk, his expression unreadable. Michael and Sandra entered next, smirking like they were in on some great joke. Then my father spoke. "We've updated the will," he announced, his voice as calm as if he were discussing the weather. "Michael and Sandra will inherit the entire estate." For a moment, I thought I had misheard. "What?" My voice came out hoarse. My mother sighed, as if she were the one suffering. "Kelly, you're successful. You have your own career, your own apartment. You don't need the estate. Michael and Sandra, on the other hand, require more support for their futures." I let out a hollow laugh. "Support? You mean like how I covered Michael's failed business loans? Or how I pay for Sandra's luxury education overseas?" Michael swirled his wine glass lazily. "Well, you always did like playing the big sister role." Sandra laughed. "Consider it redistribution. The money went where it mattered most." Something inside me cracked. I had spent years bending over backward for them, and this was my reward. My father's gaze remained steady. "It's final, Kelly. There's no discussion." I exhaled slowly, forcing down the burning lump in my throat. Then I straightened, leveling them with a stare. "I see," I said quietly. "Well, in that case, I'm done." Their smirks faltered. "What do you mean done?" my mother asked, suddenly wary. I stepped back, my voice cold. "I mean, if I'm not family enough to inherit, then I'm not family enough to fund your lifestyle anymore." Silence. Then Michael scoffed. "Don't be dramatic." I turned on my heel and strode out of the study, past the guests who suddenly felt like strangers, past the chandeliers that had once been home. I walked out the front door and into the night, my pulse steady, my resolve clear. They had made their choice. Now it was time for me to make mine, and they were about to learn exactly what that meant. I sat at my desk, fingers hovering over the keyboard, heart pounding with cold determination. The estate wasn't mine. Fine, but neither was my money theirs. First, I accessed the shared accounts, ones I had foolishly allowed my parents to dip into over the years. A few keystrokes and the transfers stopped. Next, I revoked the tuition payments still covering Sandra's final semester. Then Michael's outstanding business loan, the one I had co-signed to keep his company afloat. I filed a formal withdrawal of my financial guarantee. My phone buzzed. "Mom." I ignored it. The landline rang next, then another call, then another. I let them all go to voicemail. An email notification popped up. Michael, you're acting like a child. Don't be petty. I smirked, typing a single reply. Enjoy your inheritance. You'll need it. As I hit send, a sharp knock rattled my apartment door. My stomach clenched. I knew who it was before I even checked the people. Mom. I swung open the door. She stepped forward, eyes wide with fox concern. Kelly, honey, we need to talk. No, we don't, I said, gripping the doorframe. Her face hardened. You can't just cut us off. We're family. I gave a bitter laugh. Family? You only ever saw me as a wallet. Michael and Sandra. Michael and Sandra. I cut in half their inheritance. Let them figure it out. For the first time, I saw panic in her eyes, but I didn't care. I stepped back and closed the door. And for the first time in years, I felt free. The chaos erupted faster than I anticipated. By morning, my inbox was flooded. Mom, Dad, Michael, Sandra. Their messages ranged from desperate to furious. Mom, you're breaking this family apart. Dad, you've made your point. Now fix this. Michael, you selfish brat. Do you think this is funny? Sandra, you're ruining my life, my tuition. I sipped my coffee, unmoved. Let them panic. Then the doorbell rang. I ignored it, but the pounding followed. Kelly, Michael's voice was sharp with rage. Open the damn door. I took my time, finally cracking it open just enough to see his flushed face. Problem? He shoved a stack of papers toward me, his defaulted loan notice. Fix this, he demanded. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Why? You're the important one, remember? His jaw clenched. You don't get it. If I go under, it affects everyone. Not me. Sandra appeared beside him, eyes brimming with fake tears. Kelly, please, my semester. I held up a hand. Not my problem. For the first time, they had no control over me. I stepped back and shut the door in their faces. And this time, I didn't feel guilty. The email came late at night, desperate, panicked. My father's usual commanding tone had vanished, replaced by trembling words. Michael had squandered the estate on reckless investments. Sandra's lavish lifestyle had drained the rest. They were drowning, and I was their last hope. I stared at the message, unmoved. After everything, they still believed I would rescue them. An hour later, my phone rang. My mother's voice wavered. Kelly, sweetheart, we made a mistake. We should have been fair. If you just help us now, we'll reconsider everything. I exhaled slowly, gripping the phone. This wasn't remorse. This was survival. You didn't try to get a job and provide for your unsuccessful twin children. My voice was calm, measured. Work, you are not old. It can be very interesting. Don't rely on me anymore. The silence on the other end stretched long, cold. Then, a sharp intake of breath. You're abandoning your family? She hissed. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. No, you abandoned me the day you decided I was only a wallet. I ended the call, feeling nothing but relief. Since I was disinherited, I sent my parents several years' worth of bills for family maintenance and expenses I made for my brother and sister. Let them think about the fact that all of this did not fall out of the sky, but cost real money, namely $97,000. At the same time, I bought a tour to a luxury hotel in Miami. The morning air smelled of salt and citrus as I stepped onto my hotel balcony, watching the waves crash against the shore. A new beginning, my beginning. My phone vibrated. Another message from my mother. I didn't bother reading it. I blocked the number, the final thread severed. A soft chuckle escaped my lips. How quickly the tables had turned. For years, they had drained me dry, believing I would always be there to catch them. But now, they were drowning in the very greed that had driven me away. A knock at my door pulled me from my thoughts. My best friend, Leela, peeked in. Come on, Kelly, she grinned. Enough brooding. We have a yak to catch. I laughed, grabbing my sunglasses. Let's go. As I stepped outside, I felt it. True, unshackled freedom. And for the first time in my life, I was finally blissfully free.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.